Let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how someone only realizes your worth the moment you step away? It's fascinating, isn't it? While you were available, while you gave everything, they took it for granted. But the second you pull back, the second you walk away with dignity, suddenly you become unforgettable. That's not an accident. It's human psychology. We don't fall hardest for the people who stay no matter what. We fall hardest for the people who know their value enough to leave when they're not being treated right. The truth is, most people confuse availability with love. They think, if I give more, if I do more, they'll see my worth. But the opposite happens. The more you overgive, the less someone has to earn you. The less they have to invest, the less they value. That's why walking away when your standards are not met is not a sign of weakness. It's the ultimate demonstration of strength. It says, I will not sell myself short. And that's magnetic. Let me take you deeper into this idea. Respect is built in absence, not in constant presence. Think about the last time you misplaced your phone. While it was in your hand all day, you didn't think twice about it. It was there, available, reliable, always ready when you needed it. But the moment it wasn't in your pocket, the moment you couldn't find it, your entire focus shifted. Suddenly, you realized just how much it mattered. You felt a jolt of urgency because its absence revealed its importance. That's not just true for objects. It's true for people. When you are constantly present in someone's life, when you are always accessible, always available, always forgiving, you can unknowingly create an illusion of permanence. Human beings are wired to undervalue what they think will never leave. It's the psychology of certainty. When something feels guaranteed, the human mind begins to take it for granted. We don't notice the flowers in our own garden until they wither. We don't realize the treasure of a relationship until silence replaces presence. Here's what most people get wrong. They think respect is built by giving more, by being there every time, by proving loyalty over and over. But in reality, respect is built when your absence is felt. When you remove your energy from a situation where it is being undervalued, it forces the other person to measure what life is like without you. That contrast creates clarity. Suddenly, they see the gap. They notice the missing laughter, the missing texts, the missing presence that used to brighten their day. That's when true respect starts to grow, not when you overextend yourself to prove worth, but when you allow your absence to highlight it. Let's take this further. Presence without boundaries breeds complacency. Imagine someone who always picks up the phone, no matter how poorly they're treated, who always forgives without change, who always stays even when disrespected. What message does that send? It says, I will always be here, regardless of how you show up for me. That doesn't build respect, it erodes it. But when you step away, when you demonstrate that your presence is conditional on mutual value, you create a powerful shift. The person on the other side is confronted with a choice to either rise to meet your standards or lose access to your presence. And that ultimatum, even unspoken, is what ignites respect. Now, absence doesn't mean playing games or disappearing to manipulate. It's not about withholding affection for power. It's about authenticity. It's about recognizing when you're over, giving in a space that doesn't give back, and having the courage to reclaim your energy. That kind of absence is different because it carries integrity. It's not a performance, it's a principle. People may resist it at first, but deep down, they respect it because it communicates a clear message. I know my value, and I won't allow it to be diminished. Think of it like this: respect grows in the silence after a song ends. It's the pause that makes the melody echo louder in your mind. If the music played nonstop, you'd stop listening. In relationships, constant availability creates noise. The absence, the pause, creates impact. That pause gives someone the space to reflect, to ask themselves, what did I lose? Why does it matter? And it's in that reflection that respect deepens. This is why people often realize the importance of someone only when they walk away. While you're there, they're distracted by the comfort of your presence. When you leave, the illusion of permanence shatters. The realization hits, I may not get that back. Scarcity breeds value. Your absence introduces scarcity, and scarcity creates urgency. That urgency transforms indifference into respect. It's important to remember, though, that absence only builds respect when presence has been valuable. You cannot walk away and expect someone to miss what you never truly gave. Your presence must have been meaningful, authentic, and rich. When it has, your absence is like the sudden silence after a beautiful performance. It lingers in memory, it stirs emotion, it demands acknowledgement. So, respect is not built when you prove yourself endlessly. It is built when you demonstrate that your time, your love, and your energy are not infinite resources to be squandered. It is built when you have the strength to walk away and let someone feel the void. That absence becomes a mirror. It reflects back to them the value you carried, the energy you brought, the difference you made. And once they see that reflection, respect is inevitable. Now, let me ask you, have you ever been in someone's life so fully that they stopped noticing your presence? But the second you pulled away, they chased harder than ever. That was not a coincidence. That was absence building respect in a way your constant presence never could. Boundaries are what separate those who command respect from those who are merely tolerated. Too many people believe that love is about unconditional giving, about always saying yes, about allowing anything because you care. But here's the truth without boundaries. Love turns into sacrifice, sacrifice turns into resentment, and resentment destroys connection. Boundaries are not walls, they are standards. They are the invisible lines that say, this is how I deserve to be treated, and I will not settle for less. Think for a moment about the way we value money. If you give it away freely, with no conditions, with no sense of who deserves it, people stop appreciating it. But when money has to be earned, when it comes through effort and responsibility, it holds weight. The same is true with your time, your energy, and your presence. If it costs nothing to access you, then people will treat you as though you are worth nothing. Boundaries create cost. They make others invest, and that investment is what builds both respect and attraction. The power of boundaries is that they teach people how to treat you. Every time you allow something that crosses your line, you silently say, this is acceptable, and people learn. They learn they can cancel on you without consequences. They can speak to you in ways that hurt. They can give the bare minimum and still receive your maximum. But when you set a boundary, you reset the lesson. You show them that your life is not a playground. It is not a free for all. It is a space that requires honor to enter. That lesson becomes the foundation of every healthy relationship. It's important to understand that boundaries are not selfish. On the contrary, they are the most generous thing you can offer. Why? Because when you live without boundaries, resentment builds inside you, and resentment poisons love. You may smile, but inside you are bitter. You may say yes, but inside you are exhausted. That version of you cannot give freely, cannot love purely. But when you protect your energy with boundaries, the love you give is clean, powerful, and lasting. Boundaries preserve the best of you. Think of boundaries like the banks of a river. Without boundaries, the water spills everywhere. It becomes a flood, chaotic and destructive. With boundaries, the water has direction, force, and strength. It moves with power, carving valleys, sustaining life. Your energy is the same. Boundaries don't confine your love. They give it shape, purpose, and meaning. They make it sustainable so that people don't drown in excess or take for granted what flows without effort. Another critical truth is that boundaries filter people. When you set them, two things happen: the wrong people leave and the right people stay. Those who want only to take, those who are comfortable exploiting, will walk away when they see your lines. That is not rejection, that is protection. It's your life filtering out what does not belong. On the other hand, those who respect you, who value you, will rise to meet those boundaries. They will adjust, they will invest, they will honor you more deeply because you taught them how to. Boundaries are a magnet for the right ones and a shield against the wrong ones. And here is where many struggle. They fear that boundaries will push people away. They think, if I say no, I'll lose them. If I stand up for myself, they'll leave. But if a person leaves because you set a healthy boundary, that person was never committed to respecting you in the first place. Keeping them by lowering your standards is not love, it's self-betrayal. And self-betrayal never leads to happiness. Every time you trade your values to keep someone, you lose a piece of yourself. And ironically, the more pieces you give away, the less attractive you become. The beauty of boundaries is that they not only elevate how others treat you, they elevate how you see yourself. When you honor your standards, your confidence grows. You begin to live with the quiet pride of someone who refuses to settle. That inner pride radiates, and people feel it. It's not arrogance, it's dignity. And dignity is deeply magnetic. It makes others look at you and think, this is someone I can't afford to lose. Boundaries also create freedom. Without them, you are a prisoner to everyone else's demands. You are pulled in every direction, saying yes when you want to say no, showing up where you don't belong, pouring into situations that drain you. But with boundaries, you choose where your energy goes. You decide who gets your presence. You live with intention instead of obligation. And that freedom allows you to show up with joy, not resentment. So boundaries are not just lines you draw for others. They are declarations you make to yourself. Declarations that say, I am worthy of love, but not at the expense of my dignity. I am open to connection, but not at the cost of my peace. I will give, but only where my giving is respected and reciprocated. That declaration is powerful. It transforms how others see you, but more importantly, it transforms how you see yourself. And that transformation is where true respect begins. Not in constant giving, not in endless availability, but in the courage to say, this is my standard, and if you cannot meet it, I will not bend. Boundaries are the ultimate expression of self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of every relationship worth having. Walking away is not a tactic, it is a truth. Too many people have been told that if they want to capture someone's attention, they should play hard to get. They should disappear for a while, or they should withhold affection. That is not what makes walking away powerful. What makes it powerful is when it is genuine, when it comes from a place of deep self-awareness that says, this situation no longer honors who I am, and I refuse to remain where my value is overlooked. If you walk away simply to test someone or manipulate their emotions, they will feel it. It will come across as a performance. And people don't fall in love with performances. They see through them. But when walking away comes from truth, when it comes from an unshakable alignment with your worth, it carries an energy that is undeniable. Consider the difference between pretending to leave and actually choosing to leave. Pretending is filled with anxiety because deep down you're hoping they chase you, you're hoping they panic and pull you back in. Genuine walking away is calm, steady, and decisive. It doesn't scream or demand. It doesn't beg for attention. It simply says, I know who I am and I can't continue here. That kind of energy creates respect because it shows a level of courage that most people never tap into. Walking away is also an act of self-protection. Every time you stay in a space where you're not valued, you chip away at your own self-esteem. You send yourself the message, my needs don't matter, my feelings don't matter, my standards don't matter. Over time, that erodes your confidence until you start believing you have no other options. But when you walk away, you send yourself the opposite message. I matter. My happiness matters. My standards are real, and I will not silence them. That internal message is where the true transformation begins. Because once you act in alignment with your worth, you begin to see yourself differently. And once you see yourself differently, the world has no choice but to respond differently to you. It's important to understand that walking away does not always mean leaving permanently. Sometimes it means creating space, withdrawing your energy, or stepping back so the other person can feel the consequences of their actions. Other times it does mean closing the door completely and moving forward. The point is not the length of absence, it's the honesty behind it. If you are staying only because you are afraid of being alone, then you are not in love, you are in fear, and fear never sustains respect. But if you are willing to walk away rather than betray your own value, you are living in strength. Strength always demands respect. Many people confuse walking away with giving up, but they are not the same. Giving up is when you stop trying because it feels too hard. Walking away is when you stop trying because you know your effort is no longer respected. One comes from exhaustion, the other comes from empowerment. When you walk away empowered, you don't collapse, you don't crumble, you rise. You redirect your energy into yourself, into your passions, into relationships that bring you joy. That redirection is magnetic because it shows that you do not need validation from someone else to feel complete. Walking away also acts as a mirror. It forces the other person to look at themselves in the absence of your presence. While you were there, they could avoid the truth. They could stay comfortable in their habits. But when you're gone, they are left alone with their choices. They see the space you occupied, and they have to ask themselves whether they were truly showing up. That kind of reflection is often what sparks growth in others, but it only happens when you're willing to leave. If you never walk away, they never confront themselves, and you both remain stuck in cycles that never change. Another powerful aspect of walking away is the signal it sends to the world. It says, I will not stay where I am not valued. That signal is not just heard by the person you leave, it is heard by everyone around you, and it is heard by you most of all. It becomes part of your identity. You begin to walk through life with a quiet confidence, with a certainty that says, I know when to hold on, and I know when to let go. That certainty attracts people who are ready to value you because it shows you will not tolerate less. The beauty of walking away from the wrong situation is that it creates space for the right one. As long as you are holding on to what diminishes you, your hands are too full to receive what will elevate you. But the moment you let go, the universe has room to bring something greater. That is why walking away is not an ending. It is often the beginning of something far more aligned. So remember, the act of walking away carries its power not because it manipulates others into wanting you more, but because it proves you want yourself more. It shows that your love for your own worth outweighs your fear of losing someone else. That kind of love, the love you show yourself, is the foundation upon which all other respect is built. And once you demonstrate it, others cannot help but notice, because truth is magnetic in ways tactics never will be. Investment drives emotion. Human beings do not value what they do not work for, and this is as true in relationships as it is in every other part of life. Think about the last time you saved up for something important, a car, a phone, a trip. The sacrifice of working for it, the time spent earning it, the discipline it required, all combined to make it more valuable in your eyes. You didn't just appreciate the object itself, you appreciated the effort you had to make to get it. Contrast that with something you were given for free. As wonderful as it might have been, it probably didn't hold the same weight in your heart. That's not because you are ungrateful. It's because human psychology attaches value to investment. In relationships, the same principle applies. When someone has to invest their time, effort, energy, and consistency into building something with you, they form an emotional bond that is stronger and more enduring. But when everything is handed to them, constant availability, constant reassurance, constant giving, they bypass the investment process. And without that investment, their emotions remain shallow. They may enjoy your presence. They may like the comfort of your giving, but they will not feel the same depth of connection that comes from effort. This is why giving everything too soon, without requiring anything in return, often backfires. Many people believe that if they pour all their love and energy into someone, it will make the other person stay. But in truth, it often creates the opposite effect. The other person may enjoy the attention for a while, but without being asked to contribute, they will not feel deeply attached. Because it's not receiving that creates emotion, it's giving. Emotion grows through investment. Consider a garden. If you go to a store and buy flowers that someone else nurtured, you might admire them, but they will never mean as much to you as the flowers you plant, water, and protect with your own hands. The act of caring for them creates an attachment that no gift can replicate. Relationships work the same way. If someone invests in you, if they have to show up, make effort, and contribute, the connection deepens. But if they can access you without cost, if they can enjoy all the benefits of you without lifting a finger, their sense of value diminishes. It's important to remember that asking for investment is not about playing games or withholding affection. It's about balance. If you are always initiating, always forgiving, always adjusting, then the emotional weight of the relationship rests entirely on your side. The other person floats along effortlessly, and as a result, they don't feel as deeply tied to the bond. But when you allow space for them to invest, by not chasing when they pull away, by letting them take responsibility for communication, by expecting consistency instead of accepting excuses, you give them the opportunity to build their own emotional stake. And that stake is what makes people fall harder. Investment also creates accountability. When someone has given time, effort, and consistency to build with you, they have something to lose. They cannot simply walk away without confronting the reality of what they've poured in. But if they've never had to invest, then leaving feels easier because they never risked anything. That's why high-value individuals require effort. They know that effort is not just about proving interest, it's about creating emotional roots. Without effort, there are no roots, and without roots, the connection cannot withstand storms. Think about how this plays out in small moments. When you always drive across town to see someone who never makes the effort to visit you, you train them to believe that investment is one-sided. When you always send the first message, always pick up the phone, always patch things up, you rob them of the chance to contribute. But when you step back and allow space, when you let silence exist until they fill it, you give them the opportunity to invest. And when they do, their feelings deepen, not because you manipulated them, but because they chose to step in. Voluntary investment creates lasting attachment. There's also something powerful about standards here. When you hold high standards and refuse to accept less, you require investment. You don't settle for empty words, you wait for consistent action. And in that waiting, the person must either rise to meet you or fall away. If they rise, their investment strengthens their connection to you. If they fall, you've protected yourself from wasting time. Either way, your standards create clarity. Investment-driven emotion also explains why people often fall harder after they fear losing someone. When you walk away or pull back from a situation that doesn't serve you, it forces the other person to confront the possibility of losing what they never fully invested in. If they choose to step up, their effort to win you back creates the emotional glue that was missing before. Suddenly, they're not just coasting on your giving, they are giving themselves. And with each step of effort, their attachment grows. The essence of this principle is simple love is not sustained by what we receive, but by what we give. When someone gives to you, they build their own emotional stake in the bond. That is why high-value connections require investment, not as a trick, but as a truth. Because without investment, emotions stay shallow, and shallow emotions cannot sustain deep love. By allowing and expecting others to invest, you create not only respect, but the kind of connection that endures. Walking away is not rejection, it is redirection. So many people misunderstand this truth and think that when a relationship ends, when someone doesn't step up to meet their needs, or when they choose to leave a situation that diminishes them, it means they have failed. But in reality, it often means they have created the space for something better to arrive. Life is always moving, always shifting, always aligning us with what matches our energy. When you walk away from a place where your worth is ignored, you are not closing the door on love or opportunity. You are closing the door on misalignment so that alignment can finally find you. Think about a person holding onto a broken chair because they are afraid of not having anywhere to sit. They keep patching it, holding it together, afraid to let it go. But by clinging to it, they stop themselves from ever discovering the strong, beautiful chair waiting for them just down the road. This is how many treat relationships and connections. They cling to what hurts, what doesn't fit, because they fear the emptiness of letting go. Yet that emptiness is exactly the space needed for something better to fill. Walking away is not rejection, it is preparation. It is the act of clearing your life of what is wrong so that what is right can finally have room to enter. When you choose not to walk away from the wrong thing, you often block yourself from receiving the right thing. Imagine a closet overflowing with old clothes that no longer fit, clothes you never wear, clothes that make you feel less than yourself. As long as those clothes are there, you cannot add new ones that actually fit and elevate you. The closet is full, and so is your life. Walking away is how you clear out that closet. It may feel uncomfortable. It may feel strange to see empty hangers, but those empty hangers are exactly what allows you to welcome what suits you better. That is why redirection is a gift disguised as loss. This idea also shifts the way we see endings. Too often, people see the end of a connection as proof that they were not enough or that love doesn't work for them. But endings are not failures. They are transitions. They are the way life removes what is not aligned with your growth, so that you can continue becoming the person you are meant to be. Every time you walk away from something that no longer serves you, You prove to yourself that you are willing to evolve. And that evolution is what pulls you toward people and opportunities who match your higher self. Walking away also teaches you discernment. When you experience what it feels like to stay too long in the wrong space, you learn to recognize the signs earlier next time. You learn what disrespect looks like, what inconsistency feels like, what patterns drain your energy instead of nourishing it. Then, when you walk into a new connection, you are sharper, wiser, and less likely to settle. That wisdom itself is a form of redirection. It ensures you don't repeat cycles, but instead move toward healthier ones. It is also essential to see that walking away does not only redirect you, it redirects the other person as well. Sometimes the only wake-up call someone will ever receive is when the person they took for granted is no longer there. While you stay, they can remain in their comfort, convinced that you will always forgive, always accept, always bend. But when you leave, when you reclaim your time and energy, you force them to face their own behavior. That confrontation may or may not lead to growth, but it gives them the chance to choose differently. In that way, your act of walking away doesn't just serve you, it becomes a mirror for them. There's a deeper lesson here too. Rejection is often life's protection. When a door closes, when someone chooses not to value you, it may sting, but it also shields you from wasting years in the wrong place. Every no you receive is clearing a path toward the yes that matters. Every time you are removed from a situation where you were undervalued, you are being positioned for one where your presence will be cherished. Seen this way, walking away becomes one of the most loving acts you can do for yourself. You are not rejecting love, you are rejecting what is not love, so that love has space to arrive. And what happens after redirection is powerful. Once you let go, once you release what was not serving you, you open yourself up not just to new people, but to a stronger version of yourself. You discover resilience, independence, and the quiet pride that comes from choosing yourself. That confidence radiates outward, and ironically, it often attracts deeper connections than the ones you used to cling to. By walking away, you not only clear space for better people, you become a better version of yourself, one who naturally draws in relationships that are healthier, stronger, and more aligned. So walking away is not about endings. It is about beginnings disguised as endings. It is about choosing alignment over comfort, growth over fear, and dignity over desperation. Every step you take away from what does not serve you is a step toward what does. And in that sense, walking away will never be rejection. It will always be redirection toward the life, the love, and the respect you truly deserve. Self-respect is the ultimate aphrodisiac. People often spend their lives chasing external traits to be seen as desirable: looks, charm, accomplishments, possessions. And while those things may capture attention for a moment, they do not hold it. What sustains attraction, what makes someone unforgettable, is the quiet dignity of a person who truly respects themselves. That energy cannot be faked. It comes through in how you speak, how you carry yourself, and how you respond when others test your boundaries. It is the difference between needing validation from the outside and radiating value from within. When someone respects themselves, they naturally command respect from others. This is not about arrogance or superiority. It is about alignment. A person who respects themselves doesn't beg for scraps of attention, doesn't cling to relationships that drain them, doesn't twist themselves into someone they are not in order to be loved. Instead, they live in a way that says, I know my worth, and I don't need to prove it to anyone. That certainty is intoxicating. It pulls people in because it signals strength, stability, and clarity. Humans crave those qualities, often unconsciously, because they represent safety in a world full of uncertainty. Think of a person who always seeks approval. Every decision they make is filtered through the question, will this make me liked? At first, it might seem charming. They're agreeable, they're accommodating, they're eager to please. But over time, it becomes draining. Their lack of self-respect starts to show as insecurity, and insecurity repels attraction. Contrast this with someone who respects themselves deeply. They don't need constant reassurance because they are already grounded in their own value. Their presence feels different. They're not desperate for your approval. They're selective about who earns theirs. That selectiveness makes them magnetic because it flips the dynamic. Instead of chasing, they are choosing. And people are drawn to those who choose from strength. Self-respect also shows up in the way you handle conflict. Imagine two scenarios. One person tolerates repeated disrespect, makes excuses for it, and continues to stay. The other person calmly acknowledges the pattern, communicates their boundary, and if it continues, walks away without drama. Which one is more attractive? The second, always. Not because of anger or pride, but because it demonstrates self-respect. It shows that this person values their peace more than temporary attention. That level of self-possession creates admiration, even in those who lose them. Another layer of this truth is that self-respect elevates how you are perceived in every area of life. In your career, in your friendships, in your romantic connections, people take cues from how you treat yourself. If you undervalue yourself, others will follow your lead. If you consistently prioritize yourself, others will see you as someone worthy of prioritization. Attraction is not just about chemistry, it is about perception. And perception is shaped by the way you live. If your life says, I matter, my time matters, my feelings matter, then others will begin to treat you accordingly. It's also essential to understand that self-respect creates rarity, and rarity creates desire. When you respect yourself, you naturally limit your availability. You don't entertain everyone. You don't give your energy to anyone who asks for it. You don't compromise your standards to avoid being alone. That scarcity makes your presence valuable. Just as rare gems are treasured more than common stones, a person who respects themselves is treasured more than someone who hands themselves over freely. Scarcity here doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being discerning. It means saying yes only when it feels aligned and no when it doesn't. That discernment adds weight to your yes, and people feel its significance. Self-respect also creates consistency. When you respect yourself, you don't swing wildly based on how others treat you. You don't collapse when rejected or inflate when praised. You stay steady. That steadiness is profoundly attractive because it shows you are not dependent on external circumstances for your worth. In a world where most people are easily shaken, someone who remains rooted in their own value is refreshing. That steadiness makes others feel secure around you. And security is one of the deepest drivers of long-term attraction. Furthermore, self-respect is contagious. When you respect yourself, you give others permission to respect themselves too. You model what it looks like to live with dignity, to set standards, to walk away from what doesn't serve you. People admire that, and admiration is a foundation of attraction. Many fall hard not just for the individual, but for the way being around them inspires them to rise higher. That inspiration lingers long after the interaction ends. It's worth saying that self-respect does not mean perfection. It doesn't mean you never make mistakes or never feel doubt. It means that even when you stumble, you don't abandon yourself. You learn, you adjust, but you never trade your worth for temporary comfort. That consistency in self-loyalty is rare and rarity is irresistible. So when we talk about what truly makes someone unforgettable, it's not looks or charm or clever words. Those things fade. What doesn't fade is the impression left by someone who respected themselves so much that everyone else had no choice but to respect them too. That impression stays because people remember how you made them feel. And when your self-respect made them feel they were in the presence of someone valuable, someone rare, someone steady, they fall harder than they ever expected. When you look back at everything we've explored, a clear truth emerges. Love and respect are not built on how much you give, how much you chase, or how much you tolerate. They are built on the strength of your standards, the courage of your boundaries, and the willingness to walk away when those standards are not met. Respect is born in absence, not in constant presence. Boundaries create the frame that holds relationships together. Walking away becomes powerful only when it comes from truth, not performance. Investment fuels deeper emotion, and redirection ensures that what you let go of makes space for what's truly aligned. And through it all, self-respect is the foundation, the signal that tells the world, this is who I am, and this is how I deserve to be treated. The greatest irony is this: the very moments you fear you will lose love are often the moments you set yourself up to gain the love that actually lasts. Not because you begged for it, but because you showed the courage to honor yourself. Attraction, respect, and commitment do not come from lowering your standards. They come from embodying them. And when you live this way, when you hold yourself with dignity, when you walk away from what doesn't serve you, when you demand investment, when you honor your boundaries, you don't just become attractive in the eyes of others, you become magnetic in your own. So don't be afraid of losing someone by standing tall in your value. Be more afraid of losing yourself by staying small. Because in the end, the people who matter most will never be lost by your self-respect. They will be drawn to it, they will rise to meet it, and they will fall harder because of it. And that is where real love begins.